Good morning. This is Ron. I want to introduce some new fields that are going to be in the beta. It's currently beta, which I have. It won't be beta when you get it. And these fields are based upon the volume point of control. And the indicator has been out for a few months, but I was experimenting with it a while back, and it seemed like the 10-10 volume point of control, or 10-day and 10 bucket volume point of control, seemed to be a very good area to signal where the bulls or bears gain or lose control of an index or a stock. You have to have both price and volume, of course, but this seems to work pretty well in conjunction with the VPA indicators, or the other VPA indicators. Now notice that I'm in my Major Markets Plus folder here. This is my standard view, and I've just added a few fields. The fields that are going to be available to you are volume at price, the percent close divided by the volume point of control 10-10, the days down since the volume point of control crossover, and the days since, or the days up essentially, and then the volume point of control 10-10 is the actual number, and this is a percentage away from the 10 period point of control. So what I've done is I've put these in here. I started putting this in my morning report now. This is far from being a finished product or a finished process, but I'm very encouraged about what I see. Now let's take a look at some of this information right here. I'll just start on top. It's sorted on, what is it sorted on? The raw combo right now for the VPA scorecard. And the VPA scorecard shows that all three trends are up in the USO, which is the ETF for oil, and there was a VPA signal yesterday. There was an effort to rise. Also, the volume point of control 10-10 is 4.7% away from the line. Here is the actual number of the volume point of control, and this is the days since the crossover. This is the days down since the crossover, and these columns do not need to be spread out this wide, but I'm just doing this for illustration purposes. Notice that you'll see a lot of 788 numbers here. That means that these indexes do not have volume associated with them. So whenever you see that number, just don't even bother looking for the volume point of control. Now let's take a look at USO. It says it's been 6 days since the crossover, actually 7 days, because 0 is always the crossover day. So if I bring this up, you can see that the 6 days happened right here as this crossed above the 10 period 10 bucket volume point of control, and that was right after this short-term correction. It also went positive here, stalled, came back, but you can see that in this instance it gave an early signal. Oftentimes you're going to find that the volume point of control, I needed to move this over. Let me take that off there, put the crosshair on. Let's see how this stacks up with the crosshair. Okay, the volume point of control was right there, and you can see the 13 was already positive on the force, and the 2 fired that same day right here. So often you'll find that they work in conjunction, which is going to enable us or allow us to build filters, which include the force indexes, the pocket pivots if you want them, and also the volume point of control. The positive volume point of control 10 period just tells us over the last 10 periods who was in control, the bulls or the bears. It's based upon 10 buckets and 10 periods. Just like any other indicator, it's not a perfect indicator, but since we are now working primarily, or I am anyway, working with price and volume, I really like the potential of this. And you can see that it generally was very good throughout here. Here it popped above for a day or two, but notice that the 13-day force was negative. So you can use the force indexes as a filter to make sure that you don't get too excited about a short-term blip. And besides, after you see a move up, you want to see what happens after the signal. You don't really play the impulse. The impulse would be the move up, but instead you play the reaction to the impulse, and in this instance the reaction was negative as it continued down. This is just one view. Now the indexes that do have the volume associated with them, you can see that and you notice in my morning report that I am not that negative on the market at all, because the S&P 400 and the S&P 600, the mid cap and the small cap indexes, have remained positive, while the NASDAQ has gone negative. And you can clearly see this with the volume point of control, the force indexes, multiple pocket pivots down here. But guess where the earliest signals were to the upside? It's the 10-period volume point of control right here, and the force indexes are positive. Look back here. After the sell-off here, you're going to get choppiness. That's inevitable, but when you see a move like that, you expect volatility. And then when the buy signals did start coming in, you can see that it cleared the volume point of control with an effort to rise, and for the most part, it stayed positive. The 13 force stayed positive all the way up to here, and then a one-day blip, and then it started moving sideways, but the 13 force turned positive, and then it took off again. Now, I don't want this video to get too lengthy, so let's move on a little bit. On the major market ETFs, all of these have volume, so you're going to have volume points of control both on the upside and the downside. You'll be able to see the percentage away from the actual volume point of control and the volume point of control number. Now, moving to all securities, I've got a few views set up here, and I will try to get some sort of these are going to be under my name, by the way, and the reason that I'm doing that is this is all new material. I really don't know what's going on with Ian going forward, and since this is all stuff that I came up with, I'm just going to put it under my name. None of the Woodward and Brown archives or this information is going to be changed, but new things going forward are going to be put under my name. If Ian gets heavily involved again and there's new material for Woodward and Brown, we'll certainly put it in there, but just to avoid confusion and to have everything that I'm working on, which includes what I'm calling an impulse system based upon the volume point of control and the force indexes and so on, that will all be under my category. Actually, rather than going to all securities, let me quickly move down to the industries, because I have these folders, and this first folder where I currently have it set up, and this may change. These are HGSI groups, ETFs, and indexes, and these are the bullish versions, and these are the bearish. And you can see how strong this market has been based upon the volume point of control being positive on the 10 period. And you get 113 positive, only 8 negative. And those numbers don't match the total number of groups because I put a volume requirement in here. But look what's negative. The biotechs have been struggling lately. large pharma. Biotechs looked good for a while, but they rolled over. And just looking at this, you can see that 2 days ago, on the days down since the volume point of control, that's when it turned negative. And also, if you look at the short-term trend, it is down. The long and medium remain up based upon the VPA trends. Now let's just look at this chart using this view, and you can see right here that both force indexes have also turned negative, and the volume point of control broke through. The close was below the 1010 2 days ago, and that's where it turned negative, and also there was a negative pocket pivot. Now, as of this morning, the market's live right now. The biotechs have been weak, but they are holding, so we'll see if that reverses. But you can see that this run right here turned positive, volume point of control right there. The force indexes turned positive here a couple of days later, and it had a nice little run here based upon that. There was also some confirmation from pocket pivots. So this volume point of control, as you can see, is very versatile for screening, both with the indexes and as you'll see with stocks. Now, this is the days since the volume point of control. So yesterday, for example, the home builders closed slightly above the 10-period volume point of control. Now notice that this little one-day dip down here was certainly not confirmed by the 13-day force. It was by the 2-day force, but there wasn't enough downward pressure to turn the 13 negative. So that may be a very good filter to help keep us on the correct side of the market. Also, I'm working on with some moving average charts and so on, which will also be a filter. This thing is really in flux right now, and it's just going to take some time to get it to go where I want to go, but hopefully I'll have some starter views for you when this is released. Now, looking at this, I'm going to sort on the days since the VPOC 1010, and let's just look. If you've been doing the top 50 GIR or looking at mine, you'll know that this cement and aggregates index has been coming, the stocks within here been coming up for a long time. And if you look at the index here, you can see that it has remained above the 10-period VPOC for a long time. Now let me show you another chart. This is a chart with a VFB. And for those of you who don't know what a VFB is, it's a visual filter backtest. You can apply a filter to show when an event happens, and then color code that. So looking at the cement and aggregate index, with the crosshair here, these are periods when the VPOC was below, and above you can see a slight rise, and then it got choppy here, and then it turned negative right here before the big fall. We had a bounce right here, and this is why it's probably a good idea to have a another filter in there, but you would never trade this. You want to see what happens after the bounce, and then it went down. Here it was setting up again, chopping around, went positive here, and then we had a pullback after a VPA signal, which is a high volume down bar, which was a good call for a couple of days, but then there was stopping volume as the ownership was transferred, and after that the index turned up and it stayed green for all this time. Now I'm going to go into the industry group, and you can see that on the days since the VPOC crossover, the 1010, none of these come close to that 53. You have to be careful with this. But the index really may keep you in much longer than the stock. But I was going to say you have to be careful, because the index is equal dollar weighted, and stocks, as you know, are not equal dollar weighted individually. They're just they do what they do. But let's take a look at Martin Marietta materials, and you can see that generally this move was captured back here after this stopping volume and a reversal bar, then a reaction, then it took off and it stayed positive. Just a little dip down here, but that was a one-day dip, and then it moved sideways, pulled back a little bit, but notice that most of these candles were positive. Just this was a negative, a white body, kind of a negative candle. This one had a small body, and then there's hammers on here. Now another way to look at this, and I'm working on this, this is a 4, 9, and 17 moving average. So you can see that it's a pullback, it's tightening up, kind of forming a spring here, and then after that, because the group remained strong, this stock took off again, and here was a VFB trigger right here above the 10-day, and the stock took off. Now U.S. Concrete is one of the stocks. This is a little loose, and I believe it doesn't trade much volume compared to some of the others, 378,000. So it's a lot choppier. But this is one that has appeared multiple times in the top 50 group inclusion report, along with other stocks in this group. This has been a beautiful stock, but I don't like it nearly as much because of the wide range bars, really in both directions. So that is, compare that to Martin Marietta, which is a much tighter chart. Another stock in this group that's been showing up a lot in the top 50 GIR is, or in the other screens, is Vulcan Materials. Look how tight this is compared to U.S. Concrete. And original signals were coming in down here, a little pullback, and then an opportunity as it took out that high to get in well above the moving averages. And look at this run on this stock. There's a pullback here, or I shouldn't say a pullback, but it went negative just for one day, and it continues higher. I'm going to show one more thing, and then I'm going to end this video. I'm going to go back to all securities, hit the alternate space bar, sort on raw combo, apply the filter, and the way this combo is set up is that it's for the 10 period volume point of control, and the ones that crossed over most recently, I need to go down to the next view, sorry about that. These are stocks and groups, bullish. These up here are ETFs, indexes, everything else, but primarily I'm looking for stocks and groups, so I'll be working with this one more. It cuts it down to 24.40. This is yesterday. The ones that were bullish, the ones that were bearish were only 7.89, which is also a good market timing indicator. Or maybe I should say a strength indicator. Now the way that this can be used is, this is the days since the volume point of control, and what I would do here is I would use a secondary sort on the industries, and notice how these industries all come together. So this way I can get a feel for stocks that were crossing over in a heavily populated group. And let's just use communications equipment, and here was a crossover yesterday. Let's do another sort here. I'm going to use this column right here, the percent. I screwed everything up here. Let me start over. Okay, my secondary sort is going to be the industry, and then I'm going to go into the chart volume at price and the percent close to the volume point of control 1010, and that will then sort on this column. So going back to the communication equipment, it's going to show me the days since the volume point of control, 0, the crossover day yesterday, the distance from the percentage above the line, and the price. It's only a $3.21 stock, and the close from the 52-week low. I put that in there also. So let's just take a look at this stock, and you can see that there has been a long base on this $3 stock. I would certainly want to be aware of the earnings. The earnings are out because the next earnings date is 8/14. The freshest earnings are not in here yet. They come out on Tuesday night, overnight. It takes Zach's a little while to get those earnings in and get them correct. But you can always go to Thinkorswim or whatever real-time program you use and see what the earnings were. But after this long base, and if the earnings were decent, it certainly may be a candidate with this trigger in place. Let's just look at the next stock. I'm not familiar with any of these stocks, to tell you the truth. This is one of those stocks that can't figure out where it wants to go. Notice all the VPA signals. By the way, these gray lines down here indicate whenever a VPA signal was given, and this is just mass confusion right now. But it did turn positive again. Doesn't have an earnings due date on this one. But look at this run back here with the volume point of control. It went from 2.5 all the way up to 10.5 after that signal. I'm going to find a decent looking stock here if I can. This is a $2.25 stock, but once again, look at this run from 110 with the volume point of control signal. This stock I've heard of. I'm not familiar. Would I take this? No. Why? It's in a downtrend. Look at the lower highs and lower lows, and look where the moving averages are. That's why the moving averages can be a decent filter. There's no Kia. Just not seeing a lot. Here's Finisar. This is one that I've been tracking for a long time. It really hasn't been able to get out of its own way. Its earnings are out. No, they're not out. They come out the 16th of June, quite a ways away, so that shouldn't be a factor right now. But once again, this stock would have to show me that it wants to go up. It would certainly have to take out the prior days, and the moving averages are all down, which is a real negative. You'd like to see these stocks above the moving averages with some positive VPA signals. These are just strength seen returning signals and so on. Not a lot to go on here. I'm just not finding much in that group. Now you can see that this could be very time consuming. That's why I think a very good way to do this would be to go into the Woodward and Brown Smart Groups and go to the stocks and groups moving to the upside, limit it to the top 100, don't change the sort, and then you would be able to find the crossovers right here. Did I change that sort? No, I didn't. It's good. So I don't see a lot of groups till we get down here to consumer finance, commercial vehicles. A lot of stocks grouped together. Here's a couple of semiconductor devices. NXP crossed 2 days ago. So here was the cross, even though that was a negative candle, and look at the follow through the next day. I'm going to end this video. It's gotten a lot longer than I anticipated, but I just wanted to show you some of the things that are coming up. Look at this run on this stock right here, though, coming off the bottom. The moving averages didn't cross till this point, but that was down around the 69 level. And the volume point of control, the early indication was back here, then a congestion area, and started getting the crossovers right in here, and it moved up nicely. You may be able to tell that I'm excited about this process. I think it's just another great addition to the tools that we already have. It's a It's part of the volume point of control or the volume at price indicators. It's just a different way that I figured out to use it. And as it becomes more and more developed, I believe it's going to be probably the go-to method for prospecting in conjunction with, like I pointed out earlier, the force indexes and the pocket pivots. And it can be used on markets, indexes, ETFs, stocks, doesn't matter. That anything that has price and volume, it's can be used on and will be very useful. Thank you for listening.